All righty, welcome back for another episode of Two Plane Sports. Today, we're going to be doing a full defensive breakdown. We've already done the offense. If you hadn't already seen that one, be sure to go check that out. I think that was out in the last couple of weeks. We're going to go through, break down where the defensive line, defensive ends, linebackers, safeties, and corners, where we see them starting, or who the starters are and why. But before we get into it, just want to say we appreciate it. We're almost at 5,000 subscribers. We're knocking the door of 4,900. Hit the subscribe button, help us out, like the video, turn the notification bell on. We'll be going live on the 22nd, so in a few weeks, we'll have to be doing that. Also, be sure to check out our membership. It's a monthly membership of $4.99 a month. You're able to get more content from us. We're going to be doing some like a member-only Zoom call in a couple weeks as well, so you better join for that. And we're also going to be doing a member-driven video where your specific questions get answered, and we'll go in depth on what you guys want to talk about, what you want to know. So if you are on the app, that's great right now, the YouTube app. In order for you to register, you'll have to be on a computer, or you'll have to go to Safari and go through the youtube.com and click on our channel, and then you go to membership, and then you click join, and then you're in. For those who've already joined, we really appreciate that, and we'll get some good content coming your way. All right, so let's get into it now. What position do you want to start with? I think we just start with corners. What do you think? Is that all right?
Sounds like a plan.
All right. Nope. Sounds good. So I'll go through who I think first as far as the corners go. I think Woody is a clear-cut starter there. Woody Washington. I don't see why he wouldn't start. I just feel like he's a clear cut. Who I could see at the other couple spots. I feel like it could be DJ Graham. I don't know. There's been some good reports about him playing well, and potentially I think Justin Broyles could be in that nickel back spot. So I'm going to go with Woody, DJ, and Justin Broyles. I feel like we've done this a while ago. Jose, you brought it up, and I don't think I put DJ Graham in the starting role. Jose, hey, do you want to go through your starting corners?
Yeah, so Woody Washington for sure. I'm going to put in CJ Colden still. I'm pretty sure I put him in the last time we did this. And for the nickel, I think the last time I said it would be Billy. That was before it was reported that he got moved to safety. So knowing that now, I'm going to go with Justin Broyles. I'm going to, go the same as you here. It seems like he's getting a lot of attention. He's definitely seems like he's improving with this scheme. So let's see what he can do.
Yeah, I think Woody Washington for sure. Justin Broyles is going to play a lot. I don't really know the starters. I think it's a hard breakdown. I guess I think I picked DJ Graham last time we did this, and I'll stick with it. So Brum, I'll pick the exact same trio as you. But I think there's going to be a decent amount of rotation, at least in the early games, with guys like Kenai Walker, CJ Colden, until we really solidify that group.
Do you guys see any freshmen playing in a role for the? I guess corners, and even if you want to go back to safeties, I know we're probably going to go back there next, but like Gentry, or even I know Brandon's super high on him, and it seems like he's doing well during camp, and fall camp just started, so there's still some work to do there. But could a freshman come in?
I don't think that's crazy to say. I mean, Gentry Williams is an extremely talented player, and he seems to be playing well in fall camp. Granted, it's only been a couple practices, but could Jaden Rowe? Yeah, I mean, the guy can play anywhere, really. Brandon, you wanted to talk about your boy Jaden Rowe?
I certainly hope Jaden Rowe gets to play. Yeah, I think he's going to be a freak. You guys know that. That'd be cool. I don't know if he's going to play as a freshman, but I hope so. I think he can. What about guys like Josh Eaton? I feel like he had a little bit of playing time. Was it last year or 2 years ago? And now I feel but no one really talks about him. Do you guys think Josh Eaton has a chance to crack in there?
I do. I think honestly it's a clean slate. I bet, like you said a little bit earlier, I really feel like there's going to be a lot of rotation through these corners and safeties, but just because it's a deep spot, deep position. I mean, the corners are, the safeties really aren't, but I mean, you've got Kenai Walker there as well. Eaton could get some playing time. Jose, you mentioned CJ Colden. Could Trey Morrison? You know, Trey Morrison kind of played everywhere at North Carolina. Could he be a corner? Could he be a safety? You know, it's going to be interesting to see. We're naming a starter. You know, we're coming up with starters for this, but I could see in the first game there could be 3 or 4 different lineups.
Oh yeah, so, especially against UTEP. I could see them switching depending on how the game is going and if it's expected, like we all think is going to be a blowout. I could see them putting out 4 different lineups, 1 each quarter, just to see how comfortable they get and with each other. You know, kind of do a whole bunch of different combinations to figure out what's going to work best.
I wonder how often that they'll rotate during as the season progresses. Obviously, I don't think. Do you guys think it's going to be 3 dudes mainly who play 90% of the snaps with a little bit of rotation, or do you think it's going to be a pretty decent size rotation as games go along, as seasons go along?
I personally think that once they get their starters established and they're comfortable with someone, I think they're going to play a majority of the games. Because I might be saying this wrong, but I felt like whenever I watched Clemson play defense, Venables had his starters on the field like for most of the game. It was like 80% of the game. Granted, you know, you need to get a guy in there for, you know, a few reps just as a breather. But I feel like once they establish and who are the 3 best, I feel like it's going to be pretty settled. I don't know. That's just my opinion, though.
I agree, and I can maybe see there being like a 4th guy, just depending on the packages that are out there. But yeah, once there's like the established ones, then those guys are going to be mainly going in unless, you know, they're they need a breather and they need to recover on a play or 2, and then they bring in the backups. But I don't see there being as much rotation as there was last year.
Yeah,
I feel you.
You know, someone that I also saw, the OU Instagram page posted Kenai Walker. He looked huge. I don't know.
Jordan Mukes.
What about Jordan Mukes? Jordan Mukes, yeah, that's a name I almost forgot about.
Yeah. So we can just move on to the other side of the defensive backfield. My starters, I think Key Lawrence, and I think that's been the same since the last time we did kind of this defensive breakdown. I think he's far and away, just like Woody, is a pencil-in starter. And I think Billy Bowman can get that second starting spot. But I do think that it might be like a short leash type of deal as far as because of, you know, could Trey Morrison come in there? Could even Broyles switch over into the safety spot? You know, I feel like Billy can bounce back this year and really play well.
I agree. I think it's only going to help him having one position to focus on instead of bouncing all over the field as the last staff had him do. And granted, you know, there's injuries and stuff happened, but he was just thrown everywhere, and I don't think that helped him develop at all. I think Key Lawrence, there's an argument to be made that Key Lawrence was the best defensive player we had last year. I mean, he was solid everywhere he went, safety, corner. So I agree with him being a penciled-in starter. I would like to kind of see Key playing that strong safety, maybe more in the box a little bit, or, you know, a little bit of roaming, and Billy Bowman as that roaming free safety, because if that dude can get the ball in his hands, he can make some magic. So I would like to see Billy play free and Key at strong.
I think this is the spot where we're going to see a little bit more rotation because, I mean, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't remember Key ever really playing in the box, because I think both of I agree with you guys. I think those are the 2 safeties that we'll see at the starting spot day 1. And I also agree that Billy Bowman's going to have a little bit of a shorter leash, just for the lack of words, because he is a little newer to that position, but he is very athletic. I think just his pure speed on the back end there is going to help. If there's ever a situation where the corner gets beat, he'll be able to recover and not allowing too many deep plays. But I don't think either of those guys are built to come in the box and play the run game. Maybe Billy, just because he's a little thicker, but Key is a little bit more slender. And I know it's going to sound a little weird, but whenever we go back and watch Trey Morrison's film, like, that's been the one thing about him that I've liked since he transferred, is how hard he hits and how good he is. Even for being a slightly smaller guy, he goes in and he just puts his body on the line to make that stop in the box. I'm not sure. I could see them rotating just depending on the defensive scheme and what the offense that we're going up against. Because if it's like, I don't know, who would be like the most pass happy team that we play against this year?
Probably
Texas
Texas.
Tech, yeah,
Texas,
like that.
Yeah,
Or Texas Tech. You're right.
Yeah,
Tech
one of those two.
Key, I just looked up the size and stuff since you're talking about it. So Billy Bowman is listed on the OU website, their official roster at 5'10", 190. Key's listed at 6'1", 205. So I mean, I feel like he does possess the size. He's listed at 6'1", 205, and that's probably pre-Schmitty workouts and stuff. I feel like both those players are going to be playing. I mean, Key's already north of 200. I feel like Billy Bowman's probably going to be playing damn near 200 or a little north of it.
Is that not their updated after the weigh-ins last week?
That actually makes sense. I don't know when this was updated. I mean, yeah, 2022. I don't know.
Oh, either way, I think the 15-pound difference. Yes, I think one, it's because the 3-inch difference in height that helps getting a little heavier. Yeah. But I'm talking not so much like their weight, but if you look at them, Billy is broader, and he looks like if he was 2 inches taller and still had that same frame, you could be like, oh, that guy might be a linebacker or a safety. But that's the only reason I could see him maybe coming in and diving in and playing in the box. But Trey Morrison already has the proven ability to come in and absolutely smoke whoever's coming through.
And someone that also, and I don't want to forget about them, is Justin Harrington. Justin Harrington is the wild card in this whole backfield. He's already, he's 6'3", like 215, 220 pounds. So he's huge. Could he start at the other safety spot? He could. Or could he even play nickel? He could play that as well. That's part of the problem with we're calling out starters here, but Venables has so many different packages that it could be, depending on what package he rolls out for the game one or the first snap, first possession, it could be a whole different deal whether they have 4 corners or whatnot. But I think Harrington is going to get a lot of playing time, especially early, and he's going to be given the chance to, win a spot and then even win a scholarship back after his whole deal with the old staff and then coming back onto this roster. So I feel like Harrington could definitely be getting some playing time, whether it's at safety or corner. I'm not sure. I could see playing nickel. I could see him playing strong safety, free safety, one of the two or one of the three. But
he had a really strong spring game. I mean, he was making tackles all over the place. He forced that fumble at like the 1 or 2 yard line. Yeah, I mean, Justin Harrington is definitely a wild card in that room. I agree with that.
He's got the size, he's got the weight, he's huge, and he's someone that can match up with a tight end one-on-one. And that's something that OU's been needing throughout the past few years. I just remember Charlie Kolar, playing against like Bookie. That just was not a winning formula for Oklahoma. So, Jose, you got something to add before we move on?
I'm scrolling through the roster right now, looking for Harrington to see what his weight and what his weight is at, but I can't find him. On the roster.
So the thing is, I think the roster might be just from the spring.
Gentry's on here.
Oh no, yeah, Harrington's on here. I see it, 6'3", 208.
Okay, I might have just missed him scrolling by too fast, but. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a chance. The thing is, he has to prove it, right? He had to work his way back on the team by like pretty much having people advocate for him. As he's a guy that should belong on it, and now he has to work to try to get his scholarship back. He's got a really big uphill battle. Not that he can't do it, but it's definitely going to take some time, and he's got to prove it more than probably any other player on the field.
For sure. So. We'll move on. We'll move on to talk about the linebackers. I feel like this one is a pretty passionate one with Venables and his staff. So I think the easy answer, a starting linebacker, would be Danny Stutzman. I think Stutzman is another one of those guys, one of the few guys that was basically penciled in from day one that could be a starter, and he is going to be a starter in my opinion. Another one I do think Deshaun White starts as well. I think Jose, you're not very high on Deshaun White, if I remember that, right? No. So Deshaun White, that would be, those are my two. And then it just depends on the packages. But I mean, could Shane Witter, could Jaren Kanak see the field a little bit? Could Jaden Rowe come and play that role? It just really kind of depends. So I think my two for sure, Deshaun White, Danny Stutzman, and probably the third one I'd probably say would be David Owegbu, because that's the safe pick, and they're all veterans and all experienced. But I do see that there could be packages where Owegbu's off, Kanak's on, vice versa, and things like that.
I think the linebacker room is one of the deepest on the entire team. I mean, if not the deepest on the entire team. I agree with Stutz as I think he's going to have a hell of a year under Brent Venables. I think he's going to be really, really good. Deshaun White, I also agree as starting, and then Owegbu as at third. But I think there's going to be a decent amount of rotation, even throughout the season, with guys like Kanak coming in. Could Kobe McKenzie come in as a freshman? Could you mentioned Jaden Rowe? I think he can play everywhere. There's going to be, I think, a decent amount of rotation in that room just because it's so loaded and so deep just throughout the season.
So I agree that the two, even though I'm not super high on Deshaun White, I do think that he'll be starting along with Danny Stutzman. I don't agree with David Owegbu. I think it could be a guy like Witter. And then those two rotate. I just don't know how much they're going to want to put freshmen out. And I know that Jaren Kanak is very talented and has got a lot of potential, and so does Kobe, and so does Kip. I would just be interested to see how they try to blend, because it's clearly going to be the best guys out there. The best guys that are most work rate are going to be out on the field. But you also kind of think about like the mix of the more veteran players, like a TD Roof. Does he get any opportunities in important games? Because I think when we're looking at it, right, I'm kind of thinking about, well, maybe they're going to be day one, like more sustained starters. Once we get to conference play, who are we going to see out on the field more than, more regularly? I just don't see Owegbu being one of those guys that we're going to see consistently during conference play.
I think Owegbu, I think he's one of those guys where he had he really came on, then he kind of took a step back. I feel like he's going to take this opportunity as like a fresh start. I think he's going to come out and play really well. I mean, he's like 6'4", 240 pounds, and he has the ability to do so. I don't know. I feel pretty good about Owegbu, and I just feel like he's going to benefit from this new staff.
I like him a lot.
I think and I think you said it perfectly. Like before last season, I thought he was going to be one of the better linebackers on the team because he has the ability to play. He has pretty decent coverage skills, and he can rush like pretty well. I think he's more probably one of the better, like, I guess, hybrid linebackers that can play on the edge or stay back and play coverage. But last year was poor. Like it looked like. If you would have told me that guy's a freshman, I would be like, okay, that makes sense. He's making kind of, first year mistakes, but he wasn't, right? I think and you could be right. He has the ability to. He's shown that he can. He just has to clean up those mistakes that he did last year. The glaring one that I always think about when I think of David is, I can't remember what game it was, but he pretty much had the tackle wrapped up. He just didn't actually force it, or he was watching the guy. He came up to try to help finish the tackle, and he just stopped right in front of the opposing player, and the guy broke the initial tackle and got another like 4 or 5 yards before David could catch up and actually get him down on the ground.
Was it Baylor?
I think so. I just remember that, like, I remember him vividly just standing right next to the opposing player and not actually getting him down. And that was so frustrating because why aren't you finishing the tackle? If one guy's not doing it, just put a shoulder to him. You don't have to wrap up. Just help him. Just get him on the ground.
I remember him making a hell of a diving interception against Spencer Sanders in Bedlam. That was tight.
I was a few beers deep on that one. It was a stressful game, so I don't remember much of it other than the loss.
No, this is the Bedlam we won.
Oh, okay.
where he made that play in Norman. Yeah, that was pretty cool. I mean, that was really athletic play. He deflected it, though. He made that play all by himself, pretty much. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. He's got the ability to. We just have to see him do it, right?
And then wasn't he the one who made the interception against Charlie Brewer and at Baylor with Jalen Hurts and them coming back?
Benito.
No, it's Benito. You're right. Never mind.
Idiot.
But they kind of played the similar role though. They kind of have the similar frame, and I think Wegbu can play really well. So I guess we'll see. I don't know how much the freshmen will really play with Rowe, Canick, Kip Lewis, and Kobe McKenzie. I do agree, Jose. I don't see them probably playing a whole lot unless some injuries happen or they just wow them in the first few games when they don't burn the red shirt. So we can move on to the defensive line. I think this is a pretty good topic, pretty good area on this defense. Honestly, this whole defense really isn't that bad. I think it's pretty solid all the way across.
It wasn't bad last year either. Like talent-wise, it did suck. It was good.
Well, the national narrative is that OU's defense wasn't even that great last year, and then they lost all these players, and now they're going to be terrible. I don't think people really realize it's actually pretty solid all the way around.
As we're going through the breakdown, it's actually this defense doesn't suck. It should be okay.
No, I knew what you meant. Like on paper, these guys are very talented, and if we were fans of other teams, probably think the same of theirs. But if you even just look at the recruiting rankings, if you want to look at their stats from previous seasons, I think last season this defense just way underperformed, and yeah, it could have been the scheme, coaches. You can point at anything, but last year was a down year for the defense that should have been on the field.
Yeah. So my starting lineup, as far as, for day one, I'm going to have Reggie Grimes at one end. I think Jeffrey Johnson comes in as the starting, defensive tackle, nose tackle, because, he didn't transfer into Oklahoma to be a bench player. And then Ethan Downs will be on the edge. And then this is the spot. The other defensive tackle spot is what I think Jalen Redmond gets penciled in here. But the biggest deal is, can he stay healthy? But I think someone who could very well maybe take a starting spot or, fill the starting role would be Jordan Kelly. I think, was it Travis Davidson brought up on our live stream about how good Jordan Kelly has been this offseason and then the spring game. He played extremely well. And I think that Jordan Kelly could have a really big year. And same with Isaiah Coe. Jose, what do you think?
So I agree. I was going to put out the exact same starting lineup there. The one thing that I can't get out of my mind is where Jonah Luwalu fits in this defense, because he transferring, he was on the defensive line, right? But whenever we saw him in the spring game, sometimes he got down in a stance, sometimes he was standing up. So I'll be interested to see how he's used, if he's going to be on the edge, if he gets played at all during the regular season. But I agree with the starting lineup, and definitely Jalen Redmond's health is the biggest concern. But if he could stay healthy, I think he's one of the best on that line.
No, a healthy Jalen Redmond is a scary dude. So hopefully he can stay healthy. I kind of agree with your guys' last starting lineups. I think Ethan Downs is going to have a hell of a season. A guy that I really want to see come on is Clayton Smith. I mean, the dude, he's a Rivals 5-star. I don't think he ever got the 5th star in 24/7, but I mean, I think he has all the talent to be really, really good as an edge rusher, potentially even linebacker too. I'm pulling for Clayton Smith. I really want to see him take a big step, but I guess we'll see. He's kind of like the way you're wondering about Luwalu is, I guess I'm wondering the same thing about Clayton Smith, and I really want to see him out there.
I think go ahead.
We might be going towards the same player here, but I feel like for those people watching, they might be a little frustrated that we didn't mention Stripling from in the starting lineup, because he did have a very good bowl game last year, and he looked good in the spring game. I just think that the reason I agreed with Reggie Grimes, and I've been a big Reggie Grimes fan since he committed, is during the Big 12 media day. I think it was with RJ when Ethan Downs sat with RJ. He mentioned Reggie Grimes stepping up as a leader in that locker room, and I think that's going to impact how much he plays on the field.
That very well could happen. Yeah, I was just about to bring up Marcus Stripling, but I feel like if there was a spot for Stripling to play, it would be to take Reggie Grimes' spot, because I don't see Ethan Downs. I mean, there will be a rotation. Don't get me wrong. Ethan Downs can't play every single snap of every single game, but I think that Stripling is going to be, it's between the three of those guys, Grimes, Grimes, Downs, and Stripling. Those are going to be your main three coming off the edge. And I think they're going to be just teaming it up. Maybe could Clayton Smith. I'm not sure. It just seems like that there's just hasn't been a ton of talk about Clayton Smith. And I just don't know what's going on. And maybe he just needs another year or two. I mean, at the end of the day, I guess he did just redshirt last year. So he still has a lot of time. And someone that, if Reggie Grimes has a good year, he could go to the NFL. Ethan Downs, I don't think can, because he's what is he going into, sophomore year, junior year? Yeah. So, I mean, there's going to be spots for him to play. Could Joanna Lualu get some playing time? I think so. But I think overall, almost every single one of these spots, outside of Woody, Key Lawrence, Stutzman, and probably Jeffrey Johnson, every other spot I feel like is open and for someone to take. I feel like there's only like four guys that are penciled in, you could say, along this defensive line. I think most of the positions, like 7 of the 11 positions, I think are open. Do we have a good idea of who it could be? Yeah, but I feel like genuinely it's open competition. And we might be surprised game one.
Yeah, I think another guy that you can say is like penciled in is Ethan Downs. And honestly, the 4 guys that went to media day, I think those are guys that the coaches think very highly of, the personalities that they want to have on the team. And I don't think they would just take guys to speak for the team that aren't going to be representing the name on their chest during the season. That's the only reason I think that Downs, Woody, Gay, Dylan,
and Broyles. Wasn't Broyles there?
Broyles was there as a fifth.
Marvin.
It was Marvin was the other offensive player. I think those 4 and even Broyles, those 5 have the opportunity to be starters from day one and carry that title for the entire season.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, and then, we don't really have a lot to talk about, but just from some of the social media and things like that, and a little bit of reading about the first few team practices, it seems like it's intense. It seems like players are competing, like it's a lot of competition. They seem to be enjoying it, and they seem to be all bought in. I don't know. It just seems like it's kind of one team, and that whole elite weigh-in and all that stuff. It just feels like this team is really close-knit, and I think they're ready to play.
It's definitely a different – it kind of – I think Venables is very much influenced right now by Dabo. He's kind of trying to emulate what Dabo has established at Clemson, and that's going to be the baseline of this program. And then over the next 4 or 5 years, we'll see it take shape in more of Venables' personality and exactly what it's going to be like. But it kind of right now, like just with what's coming out on social media, like you said, reading about it, it all kind of seems like the atmosphere very similar to Clemson.
Competition's good.
Yeah, competition is good, and they're competing out there, and we're less than 4 weeks away from Oklahoma playing game 1. It's coming up here pretty quick. It feels like this offseason's been an eternity for a multitude of different reasons. So, so I'm ready to watch a game and just general college football. Anyway, I'm ready for, what was it, the 27th or something like that is the first Saturday, week 0. So
week 0 can't. That's so dope. I love college football.
Yeah. So anyway, you guys have any final thoughts, or can Brandon roll into his individual challenge?
I'm good. You ready? Are you ready, host? You got anything to finish up? You okay? So we talked about the defense. How many years does it take for Oklahoma to have a top 10 defense? I think it's inevitably going to happen under Brent Venables. Just how long do you think it takes? I don't think it happens year 1. But I'm going to say I'll go the second year of the Venables tenure. We will be a top 10 defense.
Jose, you're muted.
I'm going to agree with year 2. Where do you guys think we end up this year?
I'll go top 30.
And
that's kind of, that's not great. But I think we could, top 30 would be a big jump. I don't know where we finished last year, but it probably 198th.
I think this year, OU ends up at like 35 to 40 is probably in that frame for me. But as far as a top 10 defense, I'm thinking it's going to be 3 years, and that 4th year is when it starts. And I think it's going to be consistent after that. I just think it's going to take a few years, get the guys that Venables wants in, that he's recruited, and go in there. Basically, kind of like when OU joins the SEC, it's probably about time that they're going to be ready to be a top 10 defense. I hope it's sooner. I hope it's this year. I hope I'm wrong. But I feel like it's just going to take a few years of getting his players in. So, Jose, you're looking it up?
We finished 76 last year in total defense.
So, yeah, if we finish top 30, that's a drastic improvement. If we finish top 40, that's a drastic improvement. Yeah. And I feel like we definitely will be in that area at least.
And I think the problem was passing defense. Because running defense was ranked pretty high for most of the season. I'm going to double check. Yeah, we finished 30th in running defense. So passing defense was god awful.
Imagine that, right? But you know what? It wasn't as bad as the Mike Stoops defense, and where they would just stand off 5 yards and just let them run slants. I'll never forget that, and it just blew my mind. So overall, I think it's going to be solid. Top 40, anything better than that, I think is a successful season. And at the end of the day, Levy's going to put up a ton of points. All you need is the defense to hold them to like 24 points a game, 28 points a game. You're going to win a lot of football games. So overall, pretty excited. I think this starting defensive lineup, I think we covered it. I'm curious to see who's right. Game 1, we might have to revisit this on a video to see who's actually predicted it right. So made it this far, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, turn the notification bell, follow us on social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Apple or Spotify. If you're listening to us on Apple or Spotify, follow the channel, leave us a review, helps us out a lot, and everything's linked below. Be sure to check out our membership, $4.99 a month. And we'll be doing a Zoom call with our members here in a couple of weeks. And we'll be doing another live stream come August 22nd. Catch you guys next time.